Hello and welcome to Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. This is episode 202. My guest is Michael Marshelek, and you may not know that name, but you will soon. He started a website, and the link is in the description box, called Exploring Again. The goal of Exploring Again is full exploration of Antarctica, or maybe somewhere different, but somewhere where the community agrees. But we'll just use the place Antarctica because that's the primary focus. Community financial support is the goal. Now, Michael and I met at the first annual Flat Earth International Conference in Raleigh, North Carolina. And he had a PDF, he had everything planned, and he was handing it out to various people. I grabbed a copy and contacted him later, and therefore here we are. The days of Marco Polo and Ferdinand Magellan and Ernest Shackleton, Sir Francis Drake, and Admiral Byrd are long gone. But Michael wants to continue in the footsteps of these great explorers, and he wants community support. Michael feels there are great discoveries still left to make. Is there a dome? Does the dome end in Antarctica? Why are people always talking about the Antarctic Treaty and how it doesn't allow us to go there? Michael says the fundraising for Exploring Again will be totally transparent. And before we begin our interview, I would like anybody who might be concerned that I'm trying to raise money for something at all involving this interview with Michael to please keep in mind that this has nothing to do with me at all raising money, unless I decide to donate to exploringagain.com. I am not personally involved in this. Anyway, on that note, let me welcome my guest, Michael Marshelek. Can I call you Mike?
Yes. Hi, Patricia. Thank you for having me on the show. You know, it was nice, very nice meeting you, and a brief moment we interacted, and I was handed you my proposal to Antarctica. It was amazing. I was having. It was good interacting with all the people at FEIC, you know, with all the like minds, and I was people didn't know who I was, and you know, I didn't know anyone, and there was like over 200, 300 people I was talking with, and they're like, Mike who? And Mike Marshelek, and I was coined Mike the Magellan, and I like that, so I went with it, and I told them I'm gonna use that. So I created a website, MikeTheMagellan.com, or exploringagain.com.
So either one leads to the same place.
Yes. So it was great. It was great interacting with people at FEIC. You know, I was learning quite a bit. You know, alternative science that is not being spread in mainstream today. You know, like I was talking with this guy, you know, Nathan Thompson.
Yes.
You know, he did videos. Yep. So he directed me to like a book called Whole Brain Power, and I'm like, I was learning quite a bit, you know, from people, and he was telling me about this book would help learn about neurons, transmitters. You know, all you have to do is to be ambidextrous. You know, it helps hand-eye coordination, and it's a fascinating book. I'm still reading it.
Training your mind in a way, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Or retraining it.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is lost in, you know, the education system being told today. You know, stuff like cursive handwriting and calligraphy, and all the stuff I talked with people at the conference was very fascinating.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
And stuff like using block letters, and the typewriter went away, and stuff like that. Like we're now using computers, and we lost a sense of like auto correction and auto grammar and spelling.
Yes.
And a lot of stuff affects the brain and stuff like that. Like I learned quite a bit from the conference, you know,
more
since
than
I woke
just
up.
About flat Earth. I agree. There were so many conversations going on in the midst of everything, especially at lunch or breakfast or dinner or in the hallways. Oh, I hear a roaring noise. What is that crazy noise? Sounds like a
Want me to mute?
motorcycle. Might have been a motorcycle or a lawnmower outside. Sounded like something was going to blow up. He's muting, but yes, we learned so much just hanging out together with all of us collectively about things that didn't really have a lot to do with flat Earth, but that were very mind expanding. So, Mike, what is that crazy noise?
I think it's my computer.
Is that?
I don't know, the processes are speeding up.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Well,
the fan.
At least it's not an oncoming train. We hope. All right, we'll ignore it when it happens and keep our fingers crossed. Is this the first time you've done an interview?
Yeah, I'm like an introverted. Like I don't speak. I don't really. I'm not outgoing, and I never done any video.
You're not really an introvert because you made these PDFs. You came to the Flat Earth Conference and you interacted with total strangers and handed them out to people. So really, you've challenged that aspect of yourself, the introvert aspect, and overcome something. I think that's great.
Yeah. Since I woke up, I had to start relearning, researching everything, and it's been a remarkable journey I've been on, and there's so much I want to tell you guys, and there has been tremendous amount of interest after FEIC. A lot of people reaching out to me and calling, want to get in contact, and previously I had no voice in Flat Earth, and I haven't been outspoken. My background, I have an interesting background. I'm married. I'm married, and I have a 2-year-old son, and we did a lot of sailing before. My whole life I did a lot of sailing, and my wife before I had my son, and we sail around the harbor, East Coast, and up through Hell's Gate and Long Island Sound, and through the Caribbean, St. Vincent, and we enjoy it so much. And my regular life, I'm a network consultant, and I did a lot of consulting contracts with the Department of Defense out in Afghanistan. I was stationed in Bagram, Afghanistan. Now I work for large financial companies, and I've been blessed by God, and I think we all have a purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why, because God, I think he affected my life, along the way, and I've observed and seen a lot. I witnessed a lot in my life, and I would I give you an example. I worked downtown New York, and in 2016, I briefly interviewed for a financial company with a gentleman, executive out of London, and he liked my background. He hired me basically right on the spot. He's as a top financial company, that's very rare. And I'm like well paid, and the reason why I'm telling you this, because in that brief purpose of meeting this executive, there was a reason behind it, and I rarely talk to this executive. He's out in London, and he came to New York in January of 2017. The reason why I'm telling you is because I woke up in January 2017 because of him.
Interesting.
We were all having drinks. We're downtown, and we're all having a group of us when we went out, after work, and he came to visit, and we were talking politics, and he was telling me about politics about in the monarchy, and I was telling them about like not here in the States we have individual sovereignty and natural rights, you know, and we were having a fascinating conversation, and then later he was walking out the door. We were walking out the door, and he mentioned to me like, "Do you believe in moon landing conspiracy, 9/11 conspiracy, flat Earth?" I'm like, no, like I don't believe in any crazy conspiracies, and I never did. You know, I grew up like that, and that resonated with me. You know, when he said flat Earth, and because I briefly heard it before, so I kept on hearing about flat Earth. So I started researching that, and I heard got to watch Eric Dubay and Brian Mullen. So I watched Eric Dubay and Brian Mullen, and a lot of memories came back to me from a lot of stuff
Maybe even
I've
sailing,
observed
because you
in
like
life.
sailing and being on the water. That might have played a role in opening up your mind to the properties of water.
I think it was the whole purpose why I picked up sailing, and uh, there's still like a lot of stuff. Like I think there's a whole purpose. Still to this day, like I don't even know my manager is a flat earther. He's a brilliant guy, and one day I'm going to talk with him. You know, eventually when he comes back, maybe in January, he visits maybe once a year.
He just
But
dropped that little seed on the way out of the
yeah, yeah,
door, and it changed your life.
yeah,
And that says a lot for all of us who sometimes, might be criticizing somebody who talks about flat Earth in a way that you don't approve of. It's just saying the words, "Hey, have you heard about flat Earth?" That's often enough to make somebody do research. So people should definitely keep that in mind. It worked with you.
yeah. And he doesn't even know. Like he changed my life, and I'm on a spiritual and scientific research uh, journey. You know, like I do business with him, but I'm open at work. You know, I have a lot of folks I've woken up to myself, and like one guy, he's a Muslim guy, but he's a he's a flat earther now too, but he's afraid to speak out because he doesn't want to appear like he's a terrorist. You know, so there's people don't want to speak out.
There are plenty of Muslim flat earthers. There's plenty of everything, fill in the blank
Yeah,
flat earthers. A lot of people are in the closet, though. Yes, indeed. But the more that it's talked about, the more people will feel confident to step out. And I do appreciate that you might feel like a bit not nervous that this is this isn't mainstream media here. It's YouTube. But I know this is your first interview and you're doing great. Just
yeah.
wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
So we met at the conference. You handed me a PDF. We very briefly spoke. It was quite a busy time there for all of us. And I looked at what you had to say. And like I said in the description box below, you can find exploringagain.com. Anybody who's watching this in the live chat or at a later date. The concept is to do something as opposed to just talk about doing something. There are some flat earth content providers who do talk about going places, but they never get the funds together to do it. Now, they may someday, of course, but there's an opportunity now for that to happen. And that is the opportunity with exploringagain.com. So we know a little bit, Mike, about how you woke up. Why do you think Antarctica is the place where we should go? I've got a copy of the Antarctic Treaty. I read it partially on one of my shows a long time ago. Maybe it was 2015. What about Antarctica do you think holds a key?
I think there's a whole shroud of mysteries, behind Antarctica. You know, like you mentioned before, the days of Marco Polo, Ferdinand Magellan, the great Francis Drake, and Ernest Shackleton, and Admiral Byrd was a great influence. They've been long gone and forgotten, and we want to continue in that footsteps of great explorers of those days. I don't know. I'm proposing a open, transparent community of exploration. There's a lot of stories out there of great sizable land that has that's still yet to be discovered. You know, I read that Iron Republic and Admiral Byrd, he, you know, it's just very inspiring me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I put on quotes on my website. This difficulties are just things to overcome. You know, it was powerful if you think about that.
Yes.
You know, getting to Antarctica. You know, I didn't when I woke up, I didn't know who to talk with, so I was like alone. And my wife put up with me. You know, she's 80% flat Earth now, and so I reached out to. I went to a New York meetup. It was my first meetup in New York, and I met a guy named John and David Weiss. I didn't know who David Weiss
Yeah, that's a
was at
good
the
person to
time.
meet.
Yeah, he was telling me a lot of stuff. Myself, my wife, and my son went,
Oh, exciting.
and another couple we met there, and we had a great discussion. So I was telling him, like, everybody wants to prove the Earth is flat. You know, like we all know it's flat, and like nobody. We're not talking about getting to uh, bring evidence to gather evidence of Antarctica. So David Weiss was saying, you know, I should come up with a plan, you know, and I did. You know, that's what got me involved in, you know, this is my way to contribute back to the flat Earth community.
The idea of traveling to Antarctica, the first thing I think about is a guy with a really long beard who is freezing to death after traveling miles and miles and days and runs out of food and then has to kill one of his sled dogs and then dies in the frozen cold and finds nothing except his own end. And I think a lot of people think that about Antarctica. If Admiral Byrd is right, if we go much further, we will find wonderful land with lots of possibilities. Whether or not any of that's true, well, we'd have to go and find out. Some people believe the dome or firmament would end there somewhere, and that is why most people aren't allowed to go there with free, unfettered exploration. You mentioned that you're a Christian. Does your idea to go to Antarctica have anything to do with proving a dome or firmament?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that in a second, you know, but I was going to mention that people are portraying Antarctica as a cold, desolate place, and you know, it's very difficult because there's a treaty out there. Along with I was hearing talks of like this, you can't carry diesel fuel within a certain latitude, but that is all a deterrence. You know, we're hearing about resistance, but I'm I'm a realist, so I like to meet the resistance. I like to see the resistance, and we need to capture the we need to capture the resistance and gather evidence of around Antarctica. Uh, you were mentioning about the firmament.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up Roman Catholic, and I fell away from the faith. So I was like any other person, like show me the evidence, of a creator. And so I lost all my faith previously of uh, of creation, and now I had doubt. I remember a time I took a CCD class, and
What's CCD
I
for
was
those who don't know?
uh, Roman Catholic Christian doctrine
Thank you.
teaching, and I remember speaking with a priest, and he was discussing the Earth is a firmament. The Earth is flat, and he believed the Earth is flat, and there was a firmament versus a globe. And I didn't really, we were all questioning that, and we didn't really, he we couldn't really critical think, and he brushed it off, and we really didn't understand the word firmament at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also I had another experience in like ninth grade when I was a freshman in high school. Earth science teacher was teaching. He believed the Earth was geocentric, and he's a remarkable teacher. I don't want to say his name over 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 the air, but he was teaching that the Great Debate was still happening. You know, geocentric versus heliocentric. You know, this is back in '94, and he was also teaching like Earth was a simulation. And I remember times talking with my brother. My brother's like 2 years older, and I was telling about like the Earth could be a simulation, and this was before the movie came out, The Matrix. This is like 5 years. I was a freshman, like 94, 95, 94, and he was teaching remarkable, you know, things of his time. I don't think many folks were taught geocentric and heliocentric, and the Earth could be possibly we're inside a matrix. But I don't believe in that. I don't. We need to meet the reality, and I am a Christian flat earther, and I am influenced, but I'm not looking for God. I already found God.
Some people see the firmament as perhaps, if it exists, as the handprint of God. And maybe that's why Antarctica could be the place to go to look for that. The word firmament comes from the Latin, and it kind of means something that's the strength and the support, also the sky. So there's many different meanings of this word, but when people think firmament or dome, they often think Antarctica. I think
Yeah.
it's interesting that you came through Catholicism, then you kind of went into a form of, I don't know if it was atheism, but losing your faith. And then
Yeah.
now through this, you've become more in touch with this sort of feeling. You consider yourself a Christian now. You know, your wife, has she been with you on this whole journey of discovery? I know she went to the meetup and met David Weiss with your child, but does she support everything that you're doing?
Yes. And my goal is to unravel the great deception. You know, I'm not looking for God, as I mentioned, and my wife's been with me along the way, and she's my life changed remarkably. You know, our life changed remarkably over time, and I lost my train of thought, but
Oh, no, perfect. It's totally perfect. Now, I'm looking at the Antarctic Treaty. I'm using my phone to look this up. I went to state.gov. Anybody can do that if they want to read the Antarctic Treaty. And I think it's a very good thing to do because flat earthers are often talking about it, and it's better to know exactly what it says. Now, I can't read the whole thing here right now because it would take too long, and we want to continue our conversation. But it was signed at Washington December 1st, 1959, and it was entered into force June 23rd, 1961. It's the earliest of the post-World War II arms limitation agreements. So right away, arms limitation agreements. That's how it's put out. This document says it has significance both in itself and as a precedent. It demilitarized the Antarctic continent and provided for its cooperative exploration and future use. It's been cited as an example of nations exercising foresight and working in concert to prevent conflict before it develops. But when you look around the rest of the world, we're not exercising foresight or preventing conflict before it develops. It seems as if we are only using hindsight and trying to provoke conflict. And that's any country. That's what it looks like. It seems as if there are 12 contracting parties. 50 parties to the treaty, 28 are involved in consulting, And we've got Brazil, Bulgaria, China, Ecuador, Finland, Germany, India, Italy, Republic of Korea, the Netherlands, Peru, Poland, Spain, Sweden, Ukraine, Uruguay, and the United States has gone there supposedly 14 times since 1963. It may be a bit higher than that. So check out the Antarctic Treaty, find out a little bit more about it. It doesn't really say you can't go there, but if you read between the lines, there are limitations. Bringing fuel, people say that's one of them. You have to ask permission to enter certain areas. But when you travel to another country, and I've done some traveling, you have to also get permission to do certain things and show documentation. So going to Antarctica, I don't think that the legal part is as hard as actually the physical preparation and the supply aspect of it when it comes to food and shelter and the transportation to get through the snow. How do you think that this should all be handled, Mike? This is a huge undertaking.
I think it should be a community effort. It should be open, transparent. You know, we need everyone. I'm looking for community feedback. I want the whole community to collaborate. Whether if they could produce a scientific, contribution, or being able to survey, or even documenting the whole journey. There's no one else out there, and we need the true voices of this flat Earth is those behind the scenes, behind all the listeners, and we need, whether you are a website designer, accountant, a doctor, I need everyone to reach out, and give feedback and help with the community, with knowledge and the entire effort. I'm not concerned about funding the expedition. It should be a community effort. I could personally help self-fund it myself, but I want it to be as a community and open and transparent. If the community cannot fund it, we could work with endorsements or sponsors. But I'd rather have it. I'd rather see as a community movement.
So you're not looking for money at this moment. Money is a huge issue within Flat Earth. People are always thinking other people are trying to, steal money or manipulate situations to get money or monetize Flat Earth. That's not what this is particularly about at this stage. You're not looking for money. You're looking for input about, should we go to Antarctica and how do we go about doing it? Is that correct?
Yes, correct. I mean, I want folks to contribute their knowledge, their effort to revive the whole greatest exploration that will happen. This will be the greatest achievement of mankind to uncover potential deception out there. I put on the website. I could open the website.
I've got it up as well.
Okay.
It's a very nice website, by the way, exploringagain.com, in case anybody wants to know. Like I said, in the description box. Right in the very beginning, it says, "We are coming, reigniting the passion for exploration. Explorers unite." One of the exciting things about Flat Earth is that we all can be explorers, whether it's an armchair explorer or actually, going somewhere and looking and doing experiments somewhere like Antarctica. It's changed the way we look at how we live. We used to think that only those people from days gone by got to explore. And now, well, everything's already figured out. We need to go to the skies. We need to go to Mars to find anything interesting and exciting to explore. But really, our own home is really a mystery. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a powerful message. We are coming. Mm-hmm. We're going to reignite the whole passion of exploration. We should, all the explorers should unite. And right here, I listed the mission, a potential mission. None of this is set in stone. I'm looking to explore, Antarctica polar regions, plant the flag, get awareness, circumnavigate Antarctica, and look for that passageways. That would be a good start. You can see my screen, is that correct?
Yes, I can. If you're
Okay.
going to share
So,
screen, be quite careful that you don't show the Hangout code that I gave you before.
okay.
Let's see if I see it there. If not, we may have to kill our Hangout.
Okay.
It looks
So,
good. Let's hope.
okay. Oh yeah, I'm doing it from a different browser.
Okay, good. Whew.
So,
I forgot to tell you about that beforehand.
so all you guys out there will be the explorers. You'll be the contributors to this community effort. I have my dog here, and there's a flat Earth if you see in the background on the beach. We're in Connecticut.
Is that I can't tell. The
But
picture is quite small. That is not a black lab. That's another dog, isn't it?
no, he's a purebred black lab.
Oh, you know what? It's because I've only got one contact in. I can see close, but not far that well. But yes, I can tell now.
The reason why I know he's a purebred. He's from the Guide Dog Foundation, and we train puppies for the blind.
Oh, what a wonderful undertaking!
Yeah, my wife and I. So I could plug them. Guide Dog Foundation. They're out in Smithtown, and I'm not affiliated with them. I just help foster dogs. And he was allergic to he had allergy, so he couldn't qualify to be a guide dog, but he was one of the best of his class.
Good dogs. They're wonderful.
Yep. So I could open up. So this is the boat that is designed for Antarctica. Is designed to be frozen in ice. I want to bring evidence. Let me click here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's designed to sail in high latitudes, and I was mentioning is well protected cockpit, and I could show you pictures here.
You've really done a lot of work. I commend you. You're not all talk, are you? This is great.
Yeah, I'm a doer, so I have that sailing experience, and I will make it happen. With or without the community, but I have no voice, so you guys won't. You don't know who I am, so I want to be. I want to make it as a community effort. I want it to be open and transparent.
Do you have a YouTube channel yet?
I don't.
You should start a Mike Magellan Marshelek YouTube channel. I mean, I'm just making up a name for you.
I do have a Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm not.
You should start the YouTube channel, and that way you can put this video on it if you want to start, and then you can do more sorts of hangouts like you're doing now with other people, or come in on other people's hangouts, because you do have a voice, and a really strong voice.
Yep. And I want to be able, this is my way to contribute back to the community. And anyone who wants to, gather evidence and, be able to have a transport to Antarctica, I'm providing that. And this is very feasible. And there's a whole boating community out there that all the flat earthers are not even aware of. Like, we could leverage the whole boating community, and there's a lot of folks that will want to be part of that within the boating industry. So, as you see from this page, this is my input, and this is not set in stone. And I want to as a community feedback. This is my rough estimate on the budget. The boat cost, insurance, maintenance, fuel, docking, and spare parts, and provisioning is not included, but it will approximate will be around 1.4 million. If we find 4,000 donors or sponsors, it only comes out to $350.
Yeah.
it's been a big deterrence to go to Antarctica because, oh, I have to put up $10,000 and $20,000
It's the
or
money.
$100,000
Well,
flight. No,
it's the cold, it's the money, it's the unknown, but it's also the lack of an organizer. So we've got somebody who's willing to do that, which is you. So now we've got a few other things to hurdles, which they're only things that are put in your way so that you can jump over them. That's why they're there.
yep. And we're not looking to, for me, I'm not looking to trek through Antarctica. I don't think a snowmobile or a flight through Antarctica would be feasible. I think we could gather evidence just by circumnavigating, properly documenting the whole journey and surveying the land. And I put incentives for the community. Who donates more will get to name the discovery, the potential discoveries out there.
That could
And
be kind of dangerous, depending upon who it is.
I listed there that the community as a whole will get to name it themselves, but I think we should at least have one majority vote on one of the discoveries.
Now, you know a lot about sailing, obviously, because that's a background that you come from. But the highest temperature ever recorded in Antarctica was a 9.9 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm reading this off my screen here. So that's the highest temperature. And it gets negative 32 often. So I know that that's something that will be figured out, and people do survive in those conditions. But are you looking for people to volunteer to do this?
Yeah, we're going to find the finest people to be on that expedition. They have to be well trained for those harsh conditions, and they got to have survival. We're going to provide survival training. All that what you told me is tries to be a deterrence to the whole system.
Yes.
And to me, it's not a deterrence. So
I must correct myself. I said negative 32, negative minus 48. I'm even making it worse. But when it's that cold, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
My fate is in the hands of the Creator. So, those who have failed in the past, we will succeed.
I like your attitude. So it's a boat. It's not something like having snowcats trekking across and maybe falling into areas, between mountains and that sort of thing. We're talking strictly doing it on the water and then potentially docking and going on the land and then getting back on the boat. Is that correct?
Yeah, potentially. It's up to the community. I don't even have to be involved. I like to be on the boat myself, but it's up to the community, and it should be a majority vote. And I like it to provide some type of equality to the community. So I put down as the first expedition will go to the majority, and the second and third potentially could go to the minority. If the community is undecided. But this boat is designed for Antarctica. It's already been to Antarctica. These tanks reserves the fuel I'm showing on the slide is they're 3,600 liters of diesel. That's incredible. It's built to withstand the ice and the thickness, of the hole in the bow. I want folks to give me feedback on the slide. And as you see, this boat is available today. This doesn't have to be the boat. This boat is on the market today. It's currently 1.2 million, but I think we could work and potentially negotiate with the sellers, with the owners. I'm sorry.
Now, in the Antarctic Treaty, you'd mentioned earlier, and I'd read a small portion of it and gave a link where others can, and I'll leave that in the description box of this video when we're through. There is the aspect of the treaty that many talk about fuel, not bringing fuel. Does that include off the shore, off the ice, or does it mean it can't be brought to Antarctica proper on land?
I don't know. The community has to explore that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, you know, countries out there has the jurisdiction that they're claiming, but it has to be decided with the community themselves. I when I was at FEIC, there were folks I felt like trying to deter me from the expedition, and they were mentioning that you can't bring fuel. We're going to utilize that fuel if we find that passageway through Antarctica to go beyond like potential, like we heard in Iron Republic.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great audiobook. I have to give thanks to Morgal
Yes.
For doing the audiobook on that.
Yeah, I'll put a link to that
For
in the
5
description
hours.
box too. If you've got 5 hours, it's worth listening to. The fuel will be basically, the diesel will be ballast, at least. That's in if it's not used further on land, correct?
Yep. And there's been tremendous amount of interest, and there's been groups out there that have been contacting me, and they want to be part of this. There's a lot of things in the pipelines and a lot of surprises that I'm gonna reveal in the next few weeks. It's gonna be amazing. I want to share the whole enthusiasm where what's going on in the community.
Now, I was reading something, and I'm not trying to dissuade you at all. Like you had said, you'd found that at the conference. I'm just reading something that I find interesting. And I'm reading this as well from something I've looked up just right here on the fly online. To comply with IAATO agreements, cruise operators who, my parents went on a cruise to Antarctica at one point. They only allow 100 people on land at a time. Now, by the looks of the vessel that we're talking about, you're not going to have 100 people on board, so that's not going to be an issue. How many people potentially could a boat, such as the one that's for sale now, have in it or on it?
It is designed for 8 people, but we have to evaluate depending on the conditions of living on the boat. But we could potentially be a lot more than that.
Has anybody said to you, I'd love to go, here's
No.
my name and phone number, I will be there? Has anybody volunteered yet?
There has been, and I can't share that exciting news.
Exciting news, and that's very good to know, because a lot of people say I'd go. I've seen this in comment sections since I got involved in Flat Earth in 2015. People saying, why don't we go to Antarctica? I'd go to Antarctica. And when it comes right down to it, it'll be interesting to see how many people actually, walk the walk. So.
Yes.
I hear your computer again.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you now.
Oh, there we go.
We have a lot of people in the live chat who are busy talking among themselves. I want to say hello to Sleeping Warrior and Ranty Rant Rant and Peter McKenson and Arwin and Ukdino Walker and Alex Aquarius, Musicians for Truth, which is Jason, formerly Synthetic Dread. We've got a bunch of other people. The thing is moving pretty fast. Can't read. Michael Kilpatrick, Andreas, and if I've missed you, Teddy C, Carl Steinbeck, and Uber Flat Earth. Hey, Uber Flat Earth. If I've missed your name, then please forgive me. Hello, and thank you for joining us in the chat. If you've got a question for Michael, if you would be good enough to put an emoji or something so that I will have my eyes directed toward that. And if you've got a question, I will read it. Hello to Belinda Verges as well, Ninja Man. And Paula is in our live chat as well. Hey, Paula. So if you've got a question, hey, Carly Sunshine and Elizabeth Mapplebeck, if you've got a question for Michael, Magellan Michael, please put it in the live chat and I'll see if I can read it. So you've got this worked out very well. Money is something that at one point, eventually, after the community talks to you and you get enough people on board and enough input, is something that you'll be gathering. Will you be doing that through a GoFundMe or a Patreon or a PayPal? How do you collect the funds? And like I said, money's a touchy subject in any community, but in the flat Earth community, it seems even more more of a flammable topic. How are you going to handle that so that you don't have the heat come down on you?
It should be decided by the community themselves. I'm just providing the effort, contribution to getting this movement started. And, community fundraising will be kicked off after we finalize and have the community review the whole plans. It should be open and transparent, and if it should be the community to decide on that. And if they want to see the receipts, then I'll post everything.
Yes, good.
And whatever goes in will be returned, minus the expenses. That's how I consider it.
Well, Ranty Rant or Ranty, as he's known, his YouTube, he says, count me in. He's interested. We have a question from Musicians for Truth, Dread, who lives in Canada. His question is, why can't we just fly?
My thought is, I don't think we could, by the time we get to Antarctica, that's over 5 to 7 hours. And to go further within, it's going to take 14, 15 hours. I don't know if there's enough fuel to go through Antarctica without refueling within Antarctica. But I think we have the potential to do like more surveying seaplanes to go survey Antarctica itself. But it's really up to the community in if they have a better suggestion. I personally know pilots myself, and I could get folks involved. I could get pilots involved. I have a lot of contacts and knowledge.
Here's a question from Martin Leakey, who is trained as a sailor on the high seas. Martin of Flat Earth British says, would you might consider the north first because it's in range?
It's up to the community. I'm just proposing this, and I don't know enough about the Arctic, and I know there's folks out there that want to look for potentially like the Garden of Eden, and my belief is the Garden of Eden is not supposed to be found, according to the Bible, in my religion, my belief. There's I believe a Shubu protecting it, and we're not meant to go look for a Garden of Eden. And I really don't know much reasons to go to the Arctic, but I believe there's a great deception, a whole shroud of mysteries around Antarctica.
With so many people going there, from politicians to celebrities, and even an astronaut, Terry Virts, the other day on a morning program where Mark Sargent appeared, was saying that he's going there shortly. The people that are going there, the top names that are going there, why are they going there is a question. You wonder if they're trying to not let us know what they know. And I'm not saying what Terry Virts knows or any sort of celebrity, but the power behind the power behind the power. They may be promoting the fact in a subtle way by using these famous figures that Antarctica is where the secrets lie, when it may not be. Your thoughts on that?
I we need to see the reality ourselves. So there's a lot of things we need to see. Until then, I don't really know much.
Alex Aquarius in the live chat says Stan Deo found the Garden of Eden in Tanzania. And Martin Leakey says he's read about that. I have no idea about what any of that is about. So something to look into for those who are watching this. Chris Topher is in the live chat, and I have to go back this up to try to find the question.
So my site is to walk in the footsteps of the great explorers.
Yes.
I wasn't gearing my site to flat earthers. I'm trying to get the whole other folks in the community to be involved. I know there are folks out there don't want to be tied to flat earth. So I want this to be an open community.
I think it's great that although the title of my channel is Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, I think that it is oftentimes a good idea not to, if you're trying to appeal to people who don't know anything about flat earth, to not have flat earth in something you're doing like what you're doing, because it can get other sorts of support there who may just laugh it off if you try telling them this is about flat earth. And then later, once they're in, then they realize the truth about flat earth. I found Christopher's comment, Mike. He says, okay, do you think having a base, like a flat earth base, or let's just call it an exploration base then, in Antarctica, do you think that having a base there to do experiments would be helpful?
Yeah, very well be. There's a community in Argentina. I also forgot to mention there are groups that want to be part of my site, our community site, and we're already talking about having a whole fleet of boats to go to Antarctica. It's not just one boat, so potentially this could be a great expedition. Multiple expeditions to Antarctica. Whole fleet of them.
You mentioned that you've got a community site, and you did mention Facebook. Can you tell us the name of that for those who want to get involved?
It's Exploring Again, I believe, 11.
Okay. Exploring Again.
But you can find it off my site.
Okay, yeah. Good. So the site, exploringagain.com, will take you to the Facebook site. Ranty says, yeah, do you, Michael, already have a crew and you're only looking for donations now? I think we've cleared that up. Donations in the future may be wanted, but right now it's just getting the interest up. That's correct, right, Michael?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
And I don't have a crew yet. There's no crew.
Let's see. We have a question. I got to back up. Sorry, it takes a little bit of time here. Sorry for the dead air, as they call it. There's a question in here. I remember the way it said. Oh, here it is from Elizabeth Mapplebeck. What's the longest time-wise that you've spent on a sailboat trip?
Oh, I've spent, well, typically you go couple weeks to a month, but there would be enough supplies to last, I think, for a year, provisions on the boat.
So you, with your experience, understand how to store food properly and everything people Correct. Would need. Yeah, it's a real big undertaking, the whole thing.
Yeah, so I have knowledge in rigging, and I'm a mechanic myself, so I have some knowledge of repairing engines, and there's a lot of I'm willing to share my knowledge and bring other folks into this community.
Another comment from the live chat on the show from Diane, D-Y-A-N, who says the North Pole is the place to go. That's where the action is. The South Pole's a distraction and a red herring, kind of like, I was theorizing about earlier, to keep us from looking north. Now, because this is only in the beginning phases, that doesn't mean that you might not do this and go to Antarctica and then go to the north at some future date. You're not writing that off, correct?
Yeah, correct. I'm open. It should be a majority consideration. So yeah, I'm looking to do both Antarctica and the Arctic. And I'm looking to learn. I have no knowledge to go to Antarctica. I believe if there's more land, it's probably around Antarctica.
I know it's just you guessing, but do you believe that there's more land?
To speculate, I can't. No, I really can't speculate.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in my heart potentially there's more land out there.
Yeah, I think that same as you. I'll say it the same way as you. I believe in my heart that potentially it's only speculation. Carl Stenbeck says Admiral Byrd left for Antarctica for the first time 98 years ago this coming Wednesday. Kind of interesting. Christophorus is talking to Arwen, and they're discussing things back and forth and saying they'd never allow a flat Earth base in Antarctica, but we could then ask if they're afraid it would find something different than what they're telling us. So, yeah, very interesting idea. What
There's
about?
a guy.
Oh, go
There's
ahead.
a guy named Rick Potiv, I believe. There's a
Mhm.
website. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he 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 shows like the flat Earth as like a pond, and all the bases around the pond, the inverse of it, and it was quite a fascinating website. His website gave me a lot of influence.
What do you think that the biggest stumbling block to this whole thing would be?
I don't see any deterrence. I think we could easily accomplish, getting to Antarctica.
Carly Sunshine's in our live chat who says a trip to Antarctica is beneficial if we circumnavigate, she stresses. However, the heart of east or north, I think I'm reading that correctly, the center should be thoroughly explored. What do you think about that?
That could very well be. I believe there's, as Admiral Byrd says, there's land out there the size of, America that is warm, and we need to look further.
I hear some people say that Admiral Byrd was a disinformation agent. The thing about being involved with exploring conspiracies is that every single thing could potentially be a conspiracy. There may be a point that we reach where we will have to just say, I will put my faith in this in order to take a next step. So, and again, we always have to keep our eyes open to possible deceptions. Now, when I saw the Longines chronoscope footage with Admiral Byrd talking that we've all seen, it didn't ring false to me. But I've heard other people say that he's a Mason and look at this symbology and look how he said that word and that's that signal with his arm or hand. But in the end, we have to go with our judgment, our best judgment. And so when you watch the Longines chronoscope black and white footage of Admiral Byrd speaking after he came back, you obviously got a good feeling about what he had to say, Mike.
Yep. And yeah, a lot of stuff was very inspiring. I collect a lot of books out there, the journals of Captain Cook and a lot of scientific journals of the past. And I read through that. And if you look back at, how Captain Cook sailed around on a flat Earth, it makes more sense, to me.
Yes. If you've got a question, Octina Walker is directing the chat to type it in all caps. People are talking about maybe UFOs or something there. So we don't know. And also in chat earlier, people were talking about giants, which is in the Bible as well. What do you think about those theories? Yes, they're theories, but any validity in your heart, do you think?
Yeah, I don't want to be tied to conspiracies and all the alien and giants. I'm just looking to explore, you know, the times of, if we go back, we've lost all that. and there's a lot more to be discovered, and we need to reignite the whole exploration, get everyone, I don't want to use that quote from Trump, but make, uh, what is the quote?
Make Antarctica great again.
Yeah, make Antarctica great again.
Yeah. I know. I see what you're saying.
Make exploration great again.
Yes, exactly. Exploration is amazing and it's exciting, but it's also part of doing science, and the scientific method will be at play, which I think is far better than some of the things that we do within Flat Earth, which is a lot of speculation, although it's exciting to consider giants and aliens and oh my. But focusing on what we can find, can test, and can have tests that can be repeated to show the same results is really the only way to move forward. Of course, getting the word out is also important. And I think this that you're doing by having the Facebook group and even just being on this show now is another way to get the word out about Flat Earth. But I do encourage you to start a channel on YouTube, just to have another avenue to get to people. So
Yep.
If you need any help with that, I'll help you out.
I will.
So will everyone in the community. It's a very helpful and loving community for the most part.
Yep. I'm looking to host meetings and hangout meetings in the next couple of weeks to bring folks together and bring them up to date on all the tremendous, exciting stuff we're working on. And, I want everybody to reach out to me, leave, contact me. You contact me through the website if you haven't been there yet, haven't checked out the site, MikeTheMagellan.com or exploringagain.com. And there's a tremendous effort going on, and I want to, I want to make, I want to do all, I want to make this effort happen, and we can accomplish this ourselves.
It's a very positive message, and it's doing something. It's being a doer instead of a talker. And when I saw you at the conference, I said to myself that that's the kind of guy that you are. And I need to, when I get back home and unpack, I need to talk to him because he's actually doing things. I mean, you've got the plans for the boat in a PDF file that anybody can go to your website and download. It's not just, oh yeah, we should do this and wouldn't it be cool? You've actually got, serious background in sailing, and you work in the financial sector in New York and know about fundraising. So what a perfect combination, the perfect storm.
Yeah. Yeah. I have that background, and, I sailed my whole life, and I've been sailing, months, throughout the East Coast, and I traveled pretty much most of the world out there. And I have that contribution. I want a Flat Earth community. I want folks to, this should be the main focus of Flat Earth. I know those folks out there trying to prove Flat Earth. That's all good. We need folks to get that message out, but our goal is to get to Antarctica or polar regions to gather evidence, and it's going to be a remarkable journey for all of us.
There was somebody in the chat being a naysayer talking about how, oh, that's crazy. But even within the exploringagain.com website, you have a section devoted to prepping for research and experiments. And the thing I was mostly concerned about, which is preparations for sea trial and survival training. I know myself that I am not fit to do that. I don't have that ability, but you can build your physical ability to be fit to do that sort of thing. It takes time though. You can't just, it
does take some time,
yeah.
That's how you perceive it, but it's much easier, it shouldn't be a deterrent, it's being portrayed the difficulties to get to Antarctica, but it's much easier. And there, like I said, there's a whole boating community that we could leverage and bring, get them involved too.
Well, what you're looking for today is people to contribute their knowledge. And that's what you're
Correct.
looking for today. And you're wanting to revive exploration like the great explorers from the past have done. Take us away from exploring space and planets to exploring where we really live. And I commend you for doing that. So I want to let people know that Michael is not here asking for money. He doesn't even have anything like that set up yet. We're talking about the feasibility of this project and see who's on board, and then eventually see who wants to go and how that's going to be paid for. But by going to exploringagain.com, getting in touch with Michael or through his Facebook page, it's the way that this begins. Be a doer, not a talker, if this is something that you feel is valid. Is there anything that I've not asked you or anything else you want to get across?
No, I appreciate getting my voice out there. I have no voice previously in the community, and I want to make the whole community aware that we are doing something to gather the evidence, and we need everyone out there to reach out to me. Don't be don't be afraid. Tell me your background. Let me know how you could help the community. I'm, like I said, I was introverted, and I'm not a great speaker, but I stood up, and I'm gonna lead this community to gather the evidence needed. If no one's doing it, I will.
I like that you've done this. I've been involved in it since 2015, and I've not seen anybody, maybe I'm wrong, but I've not seen anybody put together a whole project overview like you have before. You're the only one who's done it at this point, as far as I know. And I really think it's great, which is why I had you on the show. Thank you so much. All Michael's contact information will be in the description box of this video. Mike Magellan Marshelek has been my guest on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Mike, thank you so much. And this concludes episode number 202. Keep it flat.
Thank you.